Okay, thanks everyone for joining us for the balloon fight tutorial. Today we've got Blechy here with us to teach us how to play balloon fight.
Hello.
How you doing, Blechy?
Good, good. I love this game.
Me too. Even though I haven't played it yet, I love it. No, I did play it briefly, but I don't know anything about the strats for this. I'm new to this game, so I'm Feasel. My screen's in the top right. Mythical 9 is also here. His screen is in the bottom right.
That's right.
That's right. And he's also new to this game as well. So Blechy is going to explain how to play, and Myth and I are going to try to put Blechy's explanations into practice and see how well we do at it. You guys in the chat can ask questions, and we'll be happy to answer them if we can. But the purpose of these tutorials, in case you didn't know, is to get people prepared for the Big 20 race, which is going to be happening May 2nd on twitch.tv/bestofness. And Balloon Fight is, I think, the second game in the list, right? So it's one of the early. It's one of the early games. Generally, the shorter games are at the beginning, and this is a pretty short game. There's 12 levels overall. Well, for each loop, there's 12 levels, and we're only doing one loop for this goal. So there's not too much to get through, but if you don't know how to play the game, and if you don't have any kind of strats in mind, you probably are not going to do as well as you could. So hopefully this tutorial will be helpful to some people. Well, without further ado, Blechy, you want to get us started and explain this game for noobs?
Sure. So the game in general, like Fiesel said, there's only 12 stages to this goal with a few bonus stages in between. And for each particular non-bonus level, all you need to do basically is beat these weasels that are on the stage. And the interesting thing about this game is it doesn't really start. Each stage doesn't really start in full swing. Each of the weasels have like this initial setup time basically, and if you hit them during the setup time where they're first pumping up their balloons, then it's a one-hit kill, and you just kind of sweep through them and your character doesn't bounce off of them at all, so you just go right through them and can chain them together really quickly. However, once they do pump up their balloons, which varies based on what level it is, the time it takes to do so varies per level, then they're flying around these balloons, and at that point you need to pop their balloon by hitting it, follow it up, and that sends them into this kind of parachute mode where they slowly parachute down into the ground. And then so you need to follow that up with a hit on their actual parachute, which finishes their particular weasel. So once a weasel kind of is hit, it's a lot, or once a weasel is flying around on its balloon, it's a lot harder to finish it off, both because you require 2 hits and because hitting into them actually bounces you off of them, and so it's just a lot harder to control. And so the particular strat you want to do on each level is completely based around trying to finish off as many weasels as possible in that initial kind of setup phase, followed up by kind of getting yourself in a decent position so that you can finish them off without too much of a problem. And so let's show a couple levels, I guess. Let's do the first 3 levels. The first 3 levels before the first bonus stage are all very easy. So we can go level by level. For the first stage in particular, there are just these 3 weasels in a row. And so all you want to do, you can it's a rare level where you can actually finish off all the weasels before they get into the sky. So all you really need to do, I guess one other thing I'll say is even though it doesn't seem like it at first, it's actually a 2-button game. You can push A to just kind of flap your arms once, or you can hold down B, which holds it down basically and continues to flap your arms. And the general idea is going to be to hold down B for most of the levels to keep things consistent and just have better control of your character. Whereas, the occasional A tap might be useful just for precise moves. So if we're getting into the very first stage, it's pretty simple, and all you want to do is you're holding down B, and you hold as the level begins. You're holding left and B for just a moment, and then just after a fraction of a second, you hold to the right, so that you basically just barely crest that little piece of ground with full momentum going towards the right. So let's show that off, and then you release B at some point so that you hit all 3 weasels. So again, you hold left and B, and then just after a fraction of a second, you continue to hold B, but you change it to right. And then you can easily sweep through all 3 guys. Let's do it just a couple times. Really the only kind of problem is going to be for holding left for a little bit too long, at which point it might be too late to hit the 3rd weasel, but if you time it, or after enough practice, you shouldn't have too much of a problem with that. So that's level 1. Level 2 is, are you guys pretty clear on that? Was that a decent explanation?
Yeah, it's a good explanation. I still, like, the best I can do is get 2 out of 3 of these weasels. I don't get the last one.
Yeah, same. It seems pretty tight.
It's probably just that you're holding left for too long, because unless the only risk of holding B too long is that you'll fly over the 3rd weasel. So if you're flying over the 3rd weasel, it's a matter of holding, releasing B sooner. But if you're just not reaching him, then it's just a matter of switching from left to right sooner. But it's really only for like a 1/5 of a second that you're holding left.
Yeah, it seems really brief. Like, I'm holding left as the screen comes in, and then as soon as I see my guy take off, I start holding right instead.
Yeah, pretty much. Because, I mean, like, but if you didn't do that, and if you just, didn't use that leftward momentum, then you might not have enough, you'll bonk, and even if you don't bonk, you might not have enough momentum to clear all 3. Because the game has a lot of different velocities you can be traveling at, and just in terms of general kind of traveling around, if you're just flying through the air and you turn around, it doesn't change your speed at all. You have to continue flapping your arms to actually change direction. So it kind of is often just this question of, this balance of like balancing your up and down momentum versus your left and right momentum in a way.
All right, and it looks like if you get 2 out of 3 and you can't get the last one, it doesn't take you long to finish him off. Half the time you'll pop his balloon.
Yeah, especially if they're pretty close to the ground, then just being able to pop his balloon, he immediately lands, and then you just finish him off, can go pretty quickly. But after some practice, phase 1 is, easy every time and no problem at all. So then moving on to phase 2, these levels are called phases basically. You start out the exact same, the level architecture in the center is the exact same as level 1, but then you also have these additional weasels at the top. And so that, for the first time you are actually going to not be able to finish all 3 guys in one swoop. But you do finish off the first 3 in the exact same way that you finished them off in phase 1, but then you have to just deal with these green guys. And so it's really simply a matter of finishing those first guys as quickly as possible, and then reaching the top of the screen so that you can finish off the last 2 guys without a problem. And if you do it correctly, I mean, there is some RNG to this game. So you want to, after you finish the middle 3, you want to target the left guy first. So there is a little RNG as to where the right green guy will go, but it usually doesn't change too much, and this level is largely consistent as well. If the right green guy flies right, it'll be a little trickier than if he flies right or flies left, but it's not a big deal. So let's I'm gonna try and show this level off a little bit. If I can actually beat phase 1. Yeah, you won't be able to reach either of the top guys, but before they're in the air. But you should be able to do it without too much of a problem, and especially if you do it right, then you should be able to hit the left green guy as soon as he takes off, and then fly over to the right green guy, get the couple hits in that are required, and then go back and finish the left guy.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I'm definitely hindered by the fact that I, for the life of me, cannot get all three guys on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
On that first platform.
I got I like popped his balloon as soon as he made it, and so he ended up right back on the ground.
Yeah, and then you can just walk into them, but still, I have not I've managed to do that, but I have not actually gotten all three on either of these levels.
Ah, so close.
Yeah, it's really close.
Let me try and look more closely and see. I think what it is, you shouldn't. Let's see. You shouldn't be releasing V until you're at your high, like top velocity, moving to the right. Because for every kind of wave you do in the air, you add to your speed until you're at your top speed. So.
I see. The problem is if I don't let go of B, then I bump my head on this upper platform.
And that's okay, because that doesn't
okay.
slow you down. Yeah.
But it does drive me down to the ground. Oh, but I get to keep my speed while I'm on the ground?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, so it's okay if I'm on the ground and I run into these guys as they're pumping up their balloons?
Yeah.
Okay, so your horizontal speed is going to continue to increase while you're holding B, and you just have to make sure you have enough horizontal speed by the time you let go of it, huh?
Exactly.
Oh, I finally got it, and then
I hope it's
the two green guys really gave me the business.
I hope it's not a wrong thing or something like that, because you said you're on the USA, but I wouldn't think so. Well, we can talk a little bit about the three different types of enemies. While they are all these kind of weasel sprites, there are three different kinds of weasels. There are pink weasels, green weasels, and yellow weasels. So far in level 2, we've seen the first two, which are pink and green, but we haven't seen yellow yet. Basically, each type is kind of just a little smarter than the previous type, and a little bit more aggressive. So, like, the green ones will often try and come for you a little bit more than the pink ones, and the yellow ones a little bit more than the green ones. And they'll also just kind of be a little smarter in terms of avoiding stage hazards, such as the lightning bolts, which it'll never happen in a speed run, but if you take long enough on a stage, then these clouds that you see will shoot lightning bolts at you, which will start kind of bouncing around the stage. And then also each color is a little bit smarter about trying to fly above the player instead of just doing its own thing. Like, oftentimes the pink ones, the easiest kind of weasels, will just do their own thing basically and very, very slowly hover around, whereas the green ones, and especially the yellow ones, will really try and fly above you and will just fly at higher speeds, usually, is what I've found. Another, while we haven't done this yet, we'll be doing it in later stages, but you really want to use the top of the screen to try and get that additional bounce, because it's basically just a wall, the ceiling. So whereas if you were headed towards the ceiling and you wanted to kind of go down at a fast speed, you might by instinct kind of want to just stop flapping your arms, and so that you would just start plummeting. But what you want to do instead is flap really quickly so that you hit the ceiling at high speed and you bounce off of it and go down at a high speed. If that makes sense.
Oh yeah, I think I just put it to work there.
Cool.
Is there a general technique for just kind of fighting guys in the air?
The kind of biggest fear is when certain ones, especially the yellow ones, are just kind of hovering at the top of the screen. Because, you know, if you try and get above them, then they'll try and get above you, and sometimes it just kind of you just find yourself at the very top of the screen kind of jousting against these guys. But what I've found is, while, yeah, if you go down, then they try and follow you, then it's a little bit faster and more efficient to just wait for them at the top. Because usually, even the yellow ones, the hardest enemies, will eventually just kind of forget that they need to stay above you. And so they'll lose a bit of height, and, and that's your opportunity to strike. But generally, I mean, fighting, you just kind of you start to get a feel for when the enemies will lose a bit of height or gain a bit of height, and you can usually just, fly above them and pop their balloon that way. Because a lot of the game is really just kind of getting a feel for at what point you'll hit the enemy, or at what point the enemy will hit you.
Okay, I figured out why I'm not able to do this in level 2. I don't want to go left and then right. Just flying straight up and then starting to hold right. What's that?
You're having an easier time.
Yeah. I can get it every time. So if from where you start, if you just start holding B, and the moment that your balloon touches this cloud, the top of your balloon touches this cloud, then you start holding right, and it just works.
Mm-hmm. Alright.
That's if you have the platform to bounce off of?
Yeah, if you have the platform to bounce off of. This wouldn't be in level 1. This would be for level 2. But yeah, I can just start holding right the moment I touch that cloud, and I don't even have to let go of the B button. I can just keep holding B the whole time.
Yeah, that seems even easier.
Alright, but I did notice a big difference. You and I have different RNG here. So watch these two green guys. On your screen, you'll see that the green guy on his left starts to fly and then sits back down again and then takes off. On mine, it's the guy on the right who does that. So I guess depending on which... I don't know if that's because we're using different ROM versions, or if it's just what we did in level 1 is giving us different RNG.
Yeah, I think it's just a level 1 thing.
Okay. So,
Probably.
so I guess after you've knocked those two guys off of that middle edge, you need to check which of those two green guys looks like he's not taken off fast.
Mm-hmm.
So you may have to reverse the order depending on which RNG you're getting.
Yeah.
Mythical, on yours, which one is it? Which guy sits back down?
Same one as you, Faisal.
You're getting the one on the right sits back down?
The guy on the right sits back down.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, but either way, one of them's going to do that, and that's the one you hit first, and then go after the other one. Whichever one it's going to be, it looks like it's the same either way.
I am so bad at fighting things on the edges of the screen.
Shall we move on to stage 3, phase 3?
Sure.
Okay, so let me actually get there. Just a movement. Okay, so the idea on this one, this is where your kind of strategies really start to splinter out, and there are a few different ways to deal with this stage. The easiest one I've found is holding B until you're at the proper height, and then just kind of, you see this diagonal from the lower left green guy to the upper right yellow guy. And it's really just a matter of swooping through and hitting all 3 of those guys, and then wrapping around and finishing off the lower left guy and really just cleaning up from there. So this one is a lot easier to explain than the previous stages, I think, but you just kind of make that diagonal and then wrap around and finish them. Mm-hmm. But it can be a little bit difficult to execute.
Okay, let's see what it looks like in action.
Yeah. Oops. And for this one, I don't think you necessarily need to kind of you don't need to start off by going left. You can just go straight up.
Okay, and then that's nice because then you can use a visual cue for when you want to start holding right on the D-pad. Like maybe when you touch that little green star or something, when your balloon touches that star. Or probably something relative to that star is what you would use. I don't know what part of your sprite, but...
I think what's working for me is, like as soon as the top of your balloon is aligned with the top of the left platform.
Of that platform. Okay, yeah, that does work. Yeah, it works for me too. With the top of it, yeah. And then it looks like you have to let off B a little bit if you want to hit the guy in the
you
middle.
have to. You can hold right, but you do have to kind of mess around with B just to,
yeah, to keep your path. And are you able to hit the 4th guy before he balloons or not?
No. There is a strategy where you can, and the idea it's a lot less consistent, but to do that, what you want to do is you just kind of, you hold down B the entire time as you're going up the left side, and you just kind of lightly tap into the left green guy, and then you worm your way back to the left. Instead of going through that diagonal, you hit the left green guy, you go back to the left a little bit, and then you go up and hit the upper left guy, and then you like do a U shape from there to finish off the other other two guys up there, if that makes sense.
Oh, I see. That's tricky.
Yeah, but it's a lot harder.
It's a lot harder, but it looks like it would be faster if I could get it.
Another important thing to keep in mind is that, like, you can kind of see that that upper right guy is very, very close to the edge, and with a positioning like that, you actually don't need to fly above him. You can actually kind of bump your balloon into the side of the wall, and I'll try and show that off actually. But I think I actually have to do it. Setup. It's very hard. Yeah, but if you just kind of bump into like that, like I just did there, if you just bump into the side of a wall like that, if the weasel's on the very side of the floor, then you can actually hit him without needing to be above him. So, but either way, I mean, I would suggest, unless you really want to take these strats as far as possible, or like do runs of the first phase, I would suggest, for the consistency of the race's sake, just doing that easier strat that we discussed before.
Okay, yeah, so you just hold B from the outset, and as soon as your balloon, the top of your balloon is even with the top of this leftmost platform, then you start holding right, and then you're going to have to let go and repress B kind of on and off a little bit as needed in order to make that proper diagonal.
Yep. And then that'll take you, if you wrap around the screen, that will take you to the upper left guy. You'll have to do a quick hit to pop his balloon and finish him off, and then you'll just need to finish off the bottom guy.
Yeah, and if you stay really high against the top of the screen, that's going to guarantee that you get that top left guy's balloon, and you don't run into the side of him or something. Okay, so that was the first 3 stages.
Yep. So that brings us to the bonus stages, and there's actually a little bit of interesting stuff to know about, kind of where you can lose time in these bonus stages, but not too much you can control. Basically, these bonus stages are made up of a series of 20 balloons which come out randomly out of these 4 pipes. Now, the distance between these balloons is random. You can kind of see as they come out here, especially when they come out of the same pipe, that the distance can really vary. They can be almost right after one another, or they can be maybe like 30 frames or so between each balloon. But you can't control that. And what's more, after the bonus stage ends, you get points for each balloon you hit, which tick down accordingly. And it's 2 frames for every 100 points. And in this first bonus stage, each balloon is 300 points. So that means, 300 points times 2 frames per 100 is 6 frames that you lose there. So you really don't want to hit these balloons, because in the later bonuses, each balloon is worth even more. So bonus 1 is 300 per balloon, bonus 2 is 500 per balloon, and bonuses 3 and 4 are 700 per balloon. So if you do hit a lot of balloons, then it can really add up really quickly. So you unfortunately do want to dodge the first most of the balloons. However, there's something interesting about the bonus stages, in that they basically check every 256 frames to see that all the balloons are off the screen. There are no more balloons off the screen, or on the screen. And so for the last sequence of balloons, maybe the last 3 or 4 balloons, depending on the spacing between them, you do want to pop those last 3 balloons, because the sooner you can get all the balloons off the screen, the sooner you can, end the bonus stage. So you really, typically, you'd really just want to end, want to pop the last several balloons to end the bonus stage as quickly as possible. However, because the game does check every 256 frames to make sure that all the balloons are off the screen, you might need to wait anyway, just for that 256 frame rule to be reached. So it's kind of this toss-up between, like, do I just want to do I just want to pop the balloons and just take the chance that it's going to meet this 256 frame rule, or do I want to just let them fly off the screen so that I don't accumulate any bonus points? So while there is this kind of tug of war between the two choices, you do ultimately, because it takes so long for balloons to fly off the screen, you do ultimately want to pop the last 3 or 4 balloons. So really, these bonus stages, in short, these bonus stages really just come down to waiting and counting until like 16 balloons have passed and have spawned, and then popping the last 3 or 4 balloons to make sure that the bonus ends as soon as possible. And sometimes you'll get lucky and hit that 256 frame rule, and sometimes you won't. But on average, that is the best way to go. And that's going to be true. That's going to hold true for every single one of these bonus stages. So it's kind of a long-winded explanation in how it works, but yeah, in short, pop the last 3 or 4 balloons on a bonus stage, and you'll have done what you can. Because they do come out randomly, sometimes it'll take longer to chase down the last couple balloons sometimes than it will on others. If they all come out of the same balloon, then it's easy, but if they're on opposite sides of the screen, or you need to turn around to hit it, then it's a little bit more challenging.
Is there a fixed number of balloons that come out?
Yep, it's 20 every time.
So don't new balloons spawn sooner when you've collected the old balloons?
I don't think so.
Think they're going to spawn at the same rate whether you collect them or not?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. That seems to be the case by eyeballing it.
I'm trying to see if there's a limit to how many you can have on the screen. I think I saw 7 on the screen. And I don't know that you can get much more than that. So yeah, I guess maybe not. Alright, and you said the fewer balloons you get, the better, though, in general, besides getting the last several because you want to end it early.
Yeah, I mean, if you, on the, the third bonus stage, if you pop 4 balloons, then that's a full second lost, so, just from the score tally.
Okay, and you said, wait, how many balloons? 20 balloons?
There are 20 balloons in total, so I would suggest waiting for 17 to spawn, and then just popping the last 3.
Alright, so
It's
count...
kind of a...
Yeah, so just count the balloons as they come out, and once they get to 17, pop the ones after that. Alright,
Yep.
got it. And you just run around on the ground while you're waiting for this to happen, or you usually fly
Pretty
in the
much.
air?
I mean,
Alright.
you can do whatever entertains you. You can, I mean, the scuffle noise as you walk around on the ground is so great that I like to do that and turn in tune with the music. You can also, fly horizontally and just try and dodge the balloons as they come out. But I mean, whatever you need to entertain yourself. But yeah, just don't hit the balloons and do whatever you need to do in the meantime.
Okay. And that 256 frame rule, that's a little over 4 seconds, so you may lose anywhere from 0 to 4 seconds after popping the
Exactly.
last balloon, and you just gotta, that's just, I mean, I guess it's RNG. I mean, I don't know when the frame rule is synchronized with. Is it synchronized at the beginning of the level?
It's synchronized with a total restart, with power on.
Ah, okay.
So if you did want to go crazy, then you can see where you are, where your timer is when you start the bonus stage, or rather when you're nearing the end of the bonus stage, and kind of change how many balloons you need to pop accordingly. But that would really be the only way, is just by seeing how long it's the game has been powered on for.
Right. So if you were playing really consistently in the first 3 stages, then maybe you might get down to the point where you're starting to try to optimize the frame rule in the bonus stage. But
Yes.
most likely none of us in the race are going to be doing this.
Right.
Okay.
Not me.
Not me either.
So level, I guess it's
4.
phase 4.
Yeah, so phase 4, what I found works best here is holding left and B as soon as the stage starts, and then you'll automatically hit the far right guy, and then if you release B at a certain point, you'll hit the top green guy too. And what you want to do is release B at the point where you just kind of start to smoothly arc back downwards, so that you can hit the far left guy and then just finish off the last couple as possible. So you should be able to hit 3, easily hit 3 before they're pumped up, but on occasion you can actually hit a 4th guy too. And it's not too bad to hit the 4th guy.
Okay, so
You'll
tell
need
me...
to.
Sorry, go on.
So if you you hold left and B as the screen starts to finish it up to finish them all, and then we'll say like as your balloons barely cross the top platform, then release B, so that you kind of just smoothly arc over that top platform. And then after you arc over it, you want to hold right, like as you approach the left guy, you want to hold right and just flap a couple times to slow your movement, so that you can land on the far left platform, and and then try and finish off the last 2 guys as smoothly as possible. But this is the first one that really starts to get very tricky to consistently even hit that 4th guy. I don't think you'll ever be able to hit all 5, but...
You think you can hit the 4th guy before he blows his balloon up?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Alright. Yeah, trying to land directly on that platform where you kill the 3rd guy is tricky.
And I guess, I mean, you can kind of feel it out and do whatever works for you. You don't necessarily need to land on it. It's just what I found kind of helps turn you around as quickly as possible. But if you flap a couple times as you finish off the left guy, then that works too.
Yeah, flapping definitely helps you change directions faster.
Oh, I got the 4.
Let's see if I can get him. Nope, not quite. I was really close. It's not so bad. If you don't get that 4th guy, he'll probably just fall right back down to where he started. So you can just get him real quick. Anyway.
I think the key is how close you cut it to the top platform. Like if you go soaring way over it, it takes longer to come back down to hit the 3rd guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you want to try to cut that as close as you can. Maybe there's a cue for it. I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe the cue is like as your helmet is aligned with the top platform. Then you release B.
I bonked. Yeah, it doesn't help that you can't set save states on the power pack in between levels.
I like that cue.
Ugh.
Worked out for moi.
And you're not even flapping to change directions, are you? Huh. Let go of it at the right time and...
When I get near the 3rd guy, I flap, yeah.
When you get near the 3rd guy, you flap.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
The far left.
Alright.
And we should also say that there's actually no existing tasks of this game, and really no very, very optimized real-time run either. So it's possible that there are better strats than what we're showing off today. This is definitely what I've found to be the fastest and most consistent, but I'd be very interested in seeing what other people come up with, because, I mean, just because of the level layouts, there are so many different ways to approach pretty much every single stage, and it can really start varying a lot.
So Bad Breaks has pointed out that you can also just fly up and then just go down, or you go rightwards and get 4 guys that way, rather than wrapping around.
And then
I don't know how you get the 4th guy.
Leaving the green guy for last.
Leaving the guy up top for last, I guess, yeah.
Oh my god, he got eaten by the fish.
Boy, I have to see this. The fish will eat you.
Yeah, so that's another hazard as well. Is if you or any enemies get too close to the water at the bottom, a fish jumps out and tries to eat you. I see what Bad Breaks is saying, though I'm not having much luck with it.
How do you get your guy to change directions? Like, I guess you have to press the button. You have to press A or B to actually move.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not quite understanding the strategy about the walking down the platforms. Let's see. Yeah, it's that time I lose at the end trying to get that fourth guy. Oh wow, I like your strap, Blechy. This is not bad. As long as you don't overshoot that topmost platform, it's actually not so hard to get the four guys either way.
And Toad is a pretty good visual cue as well, rather than kind of needing to compare two distant objects. He just says kind of when your nose passes the cloud, the far right cloud, then you can release B.
Yep, he's totally right. That does work. And you have so much time to get that fourth guy. It's really easy. Wow, that was a good stage I just did. Wow, cool.
I
Whenever
never
you
get the
guys
last
are-
one all that quickly.
I
Like, I've
managed.
seen you kind of tag him and then kind of bounce off the top of the ceiling and get the second hit right away. And I always
Yeah, that's. Oh.
I always have to chase him down a little bit.
I got it once. Bouncing off that thing and then double hitting him.
Yeah, the being able to bounce off that top platform after hit the fifth guy is pretty nice. Whenever you guys want to move on to phase 5, just say.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
I'm
at this
ready.
point, it's just me
Okay.
being
Let me
perfectionist.
beat this once more. Oh, he's gonna get eat. He's gonna get ate. Whoops! It's funny.
Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Oh.
I dodged. It's pretty good. Okay. So what I do for phase, what are we on? 5. What I do for phase 5 is I basically, as the stage loads, I'm waiting for it actually to see my stunt here come up. But yeah, dodge a fish, and then it's funny because like if something falls in the water, then oftentimes the fish still needs to like eat them, and it's a really delayed thing. So anyway, funny little thing happened there. But moving on to phase 5. As the stage loads, I hold down B, and then I kind of let the character get 2 flaps in, and then I just start holding right. It's a little tricky to time, but if you do it, the idea is that you hit the lower left guy, and then you intentionally bounce off the middle kind of column, at the bottom of the middle column, which sends you into the lower right guy. So you wait for 2 flat. You're holding B. You wait for like 2 flaps, and then you just hold right. And then right after you bump into the middle column, you release B for a fraction of a second to let yourself hit the lower right guy, and then you just follow that up with hitting the far right guy into the top guy. And this is the first time, I mentioned a bit before, that you don't necessarily need to kind of hit your character into an enemy. If they're on the edge of the floor, you don't need to bump your character into an enemy to finish them off. You only need to, your balloon, the hitbox of your balloons kind of extends further out than you'd think. So you can actually use your balloons to finish that enemy, to hit that enemy without touching him, and then go to the top one. So I'm going to show it off because it's really hard to explain.
Okay.
The goal is to finish the top guy before he spawns. I was like frames away from it, but it's not too bad of a level. Honestly, the biggest difficulty I have with this level is just remembering what to do as it loads. What I do, I have a little map of all the different levels kind of laid out as I play the games to make sure I remember, and I would suggest that because these levels are so time sensitive that if you forget what to do, you can really screw yourself up and just find yourself swimming in balloon guys.
Yeah,
Okay, so
you definitely have to start acting immediately when
Yeah.
the level fades in, otherwise the pattern is going to be nothing like what you planned for.
Yeah.
I managed to get 4 of them before they ballooned.
Yeah, so 4 is the goal, and then usually the last couple guys are in a decent position to finish them off.
Oh wow, okay, you got a different 4 guys than what I got.
Oh.
Cool.
Was your 4th guy the middle green guy?
I wrapped around. I got the 2 lower
Oh,
ones,
okay.
then the guy on the left, and then the guy up top. I haven't been able to do it again, though. Your thing looks a bit better, because then you get to land right on the 5th guy's balloon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
I got the 4th guy, but I missed the 2nd and 3rd.
And where that 6th guy goes will kind of potentially screw you over a little bit. I mean, if he kind of goes to the left so that he's under you, wonderful, but sometimes he'll just fly off to the right and do his own thing, and sometimes even fly to the top of the screen, which can take more time. So it can be a bit of a luck factor here, but again, the goal in every single stage is just to finish off as many guys as you can in the beginning, and then set yourself up so you can clean up quickly afterwards.
Alright, I finally got 4 guys. So I guess I'm ready for, what the hell, phase 6?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Feasel, you good for the next stage? Or do you want to?
Sure. No, but it's okay.
Do you want to spend more time on each one, or?
I think it would be helpful to go through them all again at the end and
Okay.
just remind everyone
sure.
all at once what all the visual cues are, more so than just if we spent more time on this level. It would probably be better to just do it at the end.
Sounds good. So we're up to phase 6 now. This There are a couple stages which actually appear twice in the game, and this is one of them. It appears in both phases 6 and 12. So what you want to do here, this one is pretty tricky. This one is definitely the hardest one so far, but it's one of my favorites. What my strategy is, and there's a bunch that are going to be equivalent, but what I've found is the best is to tilt your character left a little bit, hit the far left enemy, and then wrap around to the other side of the screen, hit the far right enemy, and then finish up the 2 on top. So I'll try and show that real quick. And again, you want to hit the very first enemy on the left with the edge of your balloon, not with the actual body of your character.
Okay.
I just did it. But that's the general idea. I mean, what you can also do, and I think this is probably a lot easier, is to just cut through the middle, to hit the middle guy first, and then the right guy, and then wrap around and finish the last 3. But, I mean, there's a lot of different things you can do on this stage, and what I've found is just basically what works for me the best. But, I mean, like, hitting the enemy with the edge of your balloons can be really finicky, so...
So you're holding a little bit of you're holding left for a little bit as you spawn?
Yeah, just to make sure that I don't, bump into that left column. But I just want to get a little bit of leftward momentum as you spawn, so that you can bump into that guy.
And then you have to let go of B at some point, or else you're gonna go right over the second guy.
Exactly.
Okay. Ooh. Third guy is a hard one to get. I keep bumping that ledge.
Yeah, it is really hard to get that second guy and still get up to the third guy without, losing a ton of time.
I did it. No, I didn't. I didn't. I almost did.
I'm messing around a bit with other stuff too, but I've kind of concluded that what I just talked about works best for me. I mean, cutting through the middle is certainly easier, but I think it is slower.
Ooh, I got it. Alright. Yeah, this isn't bad. I like this strat. I like your strat. It's a tough thing, because when you're hitting the second guy, you gotta kind of rock back to the right and then left again, so you don't bump on that ledge at the top, and you end up killing your momentum. And the problem with this game is once you've lost momentum, you can't gain it again without flapping, but flapping adds to your vertical height.
Right.
So you're really... It's hard, because you're, trying to fix one thing by throwing another thing out of whack.
Exactly. And especially, like, if you need to hit something that's below you, but you're headed in the wrong horizontal direction, then you're just, like, stuck in this scenario where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, where, like, if you flap, then you go up and away from the enemy, but if you don't flap, then you're just flying in the opposite direction from the enemy like you were to begin with, so... It's just these constant little precise movements that are required.
I almost got it.
Yeah, this is going to require some work.
But I would suggest, I mean, if you feel like this is harder than it needs to be, then I would feel free to try cutting through the middle, because I feel like this is the kind of stage where it's really up to player preference.
Yeah, I mean, a safer strat that you can pull off, it may be better off than one where things start to get out of whack, because once the enemies start to fly away and you have to chase them down, that's going to be really slow. So you're saying the other option is to fly through the middle, so get this middle guy, then one of the top ones, and then one of the ones on the sides?
I would do the middle guy, and then the far right guy, and then the far left guy, so you wrap around.
Oh, I see.
Guy, and then the last two.
All right.
That's kind of dangerous though, because the top two guys are right at the top of the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a little harder to deal with.
Right, the guys at the top of the screen are definitely harder to deal with than the ones further down. Yeah.
Yeah. If you do leave the middle guy last, he can actually, like in my original strat, he can still screw you over though, because he can start flying kind of, because he's a pink guy, so he flies aimlessly. So he flies aimlessly into one of those top platforms, like just below them, and so that can actually slow you down considerably too. But
No, I almost had it.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna practice your strat though, Blechy. I like it. I just need to do it a few more times. Because going through the middle, it's easier, but at best, it's gonna yield me the situation that I get if I screw up the thing that I'm, your strat,
Yeah.
So I'd rather just aim for something that could potentially do better than that.
Take a moment to just watch Blechy and see.
I'm not super consistent at it myself.
I know, you just
I just
saw it 4 times in a row. 5. 6.
I did just
I won't
get
count
it.
that one. 7. 8.
Keep watching.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, sort of.
Now I'm getting it a few more times. A few more.
I just liked seeing like what it's even supposed to look like.
Yeah.
I managed to get it a couple times. It's going to take some work, but it's not something that's going to be beyond anybody who's watching this. Yeah, it's all very much dependent on that first guy, just hitting him with the very top of your balloon and not any higher than that.
Yeah, and I did just want to go over a mechanic Everhate just explained, which is you have 3 lives in this game, and for each life you have 2 hits, basically. One hit, you can see you have 2 balloons there on your character sprite. One hit will pop one of the balloons, and the other hit will finish your balloons and expend one of your lives. Your flight ability doesn't matter in terms of how many hits or balloons you have, but or your hitbox doesn't change either. It's really just kind of a signal of how many hits you have left. But and every bonus stage you'll regain, if you have 1 balloon left, you'll regain your other balloon. So yeah, this is one of the hardest stages certainly, but that takes us through phase 6.
I did it. Finally.
Nice.
Okay. Stage 6. Oh yeah, so that's the halfway point. Besides, there's also a bonus stage as well.
Yeah.
6 stages, and then a bonus stage, and then I guess we're at the halfway point.
So we'll let this bonus stage play out. There isn't anything more to explain. It's the same exact idea. The only difference is that you collect 500 points per balloon popped instead of 300. So it's all the more important to not pop any balloons and just let the bonus stage play out, basically. And pop the same thing though. I mean, popping between 3 and 4 balloons at the end to try and end the bonus stage as quickly as possible in accordance with that 256 frame rule. But that's really all there is to know. So on to phase 7. This is definitely my favorite stage in the game, and is by far the most satisfying to do if you can get it right. Because you can kind of see all these enemies are just laid out waiting to be taken down. So what you want to do is, I mean, it's exactly as you think. And you basically want to try and go up that diagonal as cleanly as possible from lower left to upper right, and then wrap around and finish off the top left guy. So to do that, what you want to do is you want to run to the left without holding B or flying at all. You want to hold going to the left for just a moment, and then After you've run for a very brief amount of time, that's when you start holding B. You take off and kind of just when you barely clear the left platform, then you start holding right. So I'll try and show off what it looks like. And then you just have to kind of, you know, hold down B or release B and repress B in order to control your height. But that's the easy part of the level for sure. And if you do it all perfectly, then you can you should be able to hit those first 6 guys consistently without a problem. But if you do it perfectly, then you can even reach the 7th guy.
Oh, I almost got the 7.
Yeah, but that can be a bit hard.
Got it.
So if you leave these guys balloonless long enough, do they eventually come back?
Yeah. So if they parachute down to the ground and then land, then after a brief amount of time, they'll actually start kind of pumping up their balloons again, and they'll start ballooning back up. Not only that, but they'll also be the next kind of AI level.
They'll go up in power. I see.
Yeah, exactly.
It's Bubble Bobble again. So when you said you can take 2 hits, do your hits come back after each level?
It's when you reach every bonus stage. Then if you have 1 balloon, then you'll get an additional your other balloon back.
I see. So you get a health refill in the bonus stage every 3 levels.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting back to where you guys are. I set a bad save state, so I have to
Okay.
do this.
This level is fun.
Yeah, when you get it right, just like the sound effects all playing out one after the other. It's really cool. So like Bad Breaks, you do this. I mean, I was trying this and I couldn't get it.
Yeah, between them, I tried to do it and I couldn't get the last guy when I did it that way.
Like between the, yeah, I have a lot of trouble with that because it can kind of just send you out at a really bad angle, and I was really trying to mess around with it, but I don't like it. And something to remember, we went over this about a bit before, but you know, if you're just flying through the air and holding right, you won't necessarily speed up. In order to speed up, you need to be holding B. So if you kind of clear the lower left platform, then if you're not flying at your max height and you release B, then you definitely won't be able to make it to the 7th guy in time. So you want to make sure that you're going top speed before you release B going to the right.
Oh, I went under the fish, and then under the world, I think. And then the fish came up, and I swam up into the fish, and he got me.
That's funny.
I don't know. I have trouble with that strat, Bad Bricks. I'm sticking to mine, but again, I mean, I could definitely anticipate people using different strats just according to what does and does not work for them.
Yeah, it's tricky because if you bump either of those ledges, you get all this horizontal momentum that you don't want.
Yeah.
I go pinball bouncing back and forth between them. It's not good. So what is this little spinny punch glove thing in the middle?
Okay, so yeah, this is the first appearance of these spinners, which are actually in the Super Smash Bros. Series. So the idea behind them, they spin clockwise, and they'll spin anything. They'll spin you or any of the enemies. So if you hit the left side of it, then it'll spin you clockwise in that direction. And if you hit the right side of, which is like, so if you hit the left side of it, it'll spin you kind of left or up. And if you hit the right side of it or the top, then it'll spin you kind of down or right. So generally, you really just don't want to touch them because they can be very, very annoying. And especially once we see in Phase 10, there's this series of 3 spinners all lined up that can really get really annoying.
Okay.
But yeah, so you want to move on to Phase 8?
Let's do it.
Alright, let me get this stage once more. Okay. So for Phase 8, it's kind of similar to Phase 5, which is the one where we held B as the screen loaded for just a moment for like 2 flaps, and then you just hold right. So hold B as it loads, and then after 2 flaps, hold right. And what'll happen is you'll hit the left guy, then you want to kind of bounce into the lower right guy, and then you can go into either direction from there. But I'll show what I do. So you hold that, and you don't even release B, and you don't release B actually at all until you get all the way to the top.
All right, let's see.
I missed that. There you go. That was a decent one. You want to hit 4 guys before the, in the initial setup phase.
Okay. And then you wrap around after that and take care of the last 2.
Yep. I'm actually going to try one. And, I mean, if you find, this is another preference thing, but after you hit the first 2, if you find that going up the right instead of going up the left is easier for you, then great. But I find the left is easier because you're already kind of going in that direction a bit.
Okay. So you're not letting go of B at all until you get to the top.
Right.
Okay.
And then it's just kind of a left-right worm movement as you go up the left side.
Yeah, it looks like you got plenty of leeway for when you hit that 4th guy, so that shouldn't be a problem. It's really just dealing with these last 2. I see, okay. Oh yeah, what's your strat for this one, Bad Breaks?
Hold B.
get them all?
Wait, I'm not sure I understand.
I think he means when the balloon reaches the cloud, hold right.
Hold right. Okay, I got it. There's 2 B's in there, so I wasn't sure. Wow, yeah, if you just hold right as soon as the balloon hits the cloud and just don't let go of B, you'll get 4 enemies. Guaranteed. Wow, I got them all. Wait,
That
no,
is
I
good.
just didn't let go of right and B, and I just beat the whole level. He's not joking.
I think there is a luck element, just depending on where they fly, but that is good, really good. And it's probably
Yeah.
better than...
It's kind of working for me every time. Wow. Well, I guess I'm starting from a safe state, so I have no idea what the luck element is. Yeah, as soon as your balloons touch that top of that cloud, just hold right. Oh, one of them I screwed up.
Is it the bottom of the cloud or the top?
Bottom of the cloud. The top of your balloon hits the bottom of the cloud. Then you start holding right.
Yep, that is really
Yeah,
solid.
that's good. That's official. It's working a bit better for me if I do it just a little earlier.
Early,
although,
yes, early, yeah.
Yeah.
It's-
So print it. That's the way to go.
That's the strat. Alright. Yeah, maybe just before hitting that cloud makes it easier. Otherwise, you miss the third one. Nice strat, indeed.
So that said, do we want to move to 9?
Yep.
Sure.
So this is close to a duplicate of what there was of what we did before. I think of 4. I forget which one, but yeah. Except there are 2 differences. One are the 2 flippers at the top, and the other difference is that the pump-up time is a little less than we saw in that stage. And so unfortunately you can't do the exact same thing you did there. But this one is actually a little easier, I feel. What you do is, as the stage loads, you just hold left, and you can kind of hear the just innocent pitter-patter of his feet. And on the 6th little footstep, like, you time it so that you're still holding left, and you just hold B, starting with his 6th footstep. And if you'll need to time your B presses a little bit, but you can kind of just sneak through that entire the lower left 3 guys, and then wrap around and finish the last 2. So I'll try and show that off.
Okay.
And then you just need to finish the green guy is usually flying around and running amok, but
I just got a pretty great pattern, I think. The spinner like knocked the green guy down towards me, and I got a bounce off of the something that put me toward. Yeah, it was really good. I like the audio cue though.
Yeah, me too, Lack Attack. I used to think that there was only one fly button. I mean, I guess if you wanted, then after you do the left side, you can turn around and hit the green guy. But it's player preference.
So you're only getting 3 guys before they balloon,
Yeah,
right?
only 3.
Okay.
The setup time on this one, the pump up time, is very, very brief.
Oh.
I feel like there might be something to starting from the left side, but I was never able to get 4 guys out of it consistently. And I'm undecided as to whether I prefer targeting the green guy or the pink guy as my fourth, or the white guy or yellow rather.
It seems like maybe you could adjust based off of which direction they go in. No, it looks like you kind of have to decide before you can tell where they're going.
I guess the flipper doesn't really shoot you down. Wow. But yeah, that's the idea of that one. We okay to move on?
Sure.
So yep, next we have a bonus stage, same exact type of thing as the first ones. The only difference being that it's 700 points per balloon instead of 300 or 500. So yep, so if you pop 4 balloons, then you've wasted a second. But that said, I still suggest that you pop 3 to 4 balloons at the end just to try and end the bonus as quickly as possible.
So you count 17 balloons and then pop everything after that.
Yep. So moving into phase 10, this is phases 10 and 11 are actually 11's not that bad, but phase 10 can be really tricky because if anything goes wrong at all, then these 4 flippers in the middle of the stage really just mess everything up and make it really hard to finish off any enemies that you left flying around. There are a couple of different approaches to this level. The easier one seems to be just holding B as the level loads and flying up and just hitting the bottom 2 guys immediately, the left bottom and then the right bottom, and then flying into the right guy that's sitting on the flipper, and then finishing up the left 2 after that, or the top 2 after that. And remember what I said before, basically if you hit the left side of the flipper when they're in this position, then it'll send you kind of up or to the left. But if you hit the right side of it, then it will send you to the right or even down sometimes. So you really want to, when you hit the third guy, the far right guy, you want to hit the left side of the flipper going up. So I'll try and show this off, but it's a fairly hard stage. So I'm going to try. Flippers are very annoying. So I mean that was decent. I would take that if it came to it. This one would be. You want to try and hit 4 guys before they're pumped up. Get sent all kinds of directions. I guess you could kind of fly through the flippers a little bit, but that's hard. It's actually... I guess it's even better if you just try and avoid the right flipper entirely, and even try and fly through both of them. Like fly between the far right flippers as you climb to the top. These flippers are really just a big old pain to deal with, and potentially you could get 4 hits in. Oops, dead.
I finally got 4.
Hey, I got 4. Wow, that's weird. You have to hit that. spinner just right so that it flings you into that fourth
Yeah.
guy. Huh.
I'm starting to have a bit more luck avoiding the rightmost flipper entirely and just trying to kind of fly between them on my way up. The other thing I was monkeying around with at first was hitting the lower left guy and then kind of doing clockwise after that. But Crystal Chaos actually was looking at this level and found the one that I just suggested instead. Because that other one, I think it has, a little bit higher reward and a lot higher risk if you just kind of go clockwise. So instead, I would suggest going counterclockwise.
What's your strat, Bad Breaks?
What? Just holding right gets them all. But it leaves the green guys, right?
I'm not sure. Okay, I guess it's not as simple as that.
Yeah. I don't know what to do if it's not as simple as just holding right. That's all I know how to do. But yeah, I mean that's the idea behind this level. It's one of the harder ones, so it's certainly one. Because like I said, if you get it wrong, then these flippers really make it potentially very difficult to finish up the level. But it's the idea. We want to move on?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Beat this one more time and then I'm good. So this one's not too bad. It's pretty easy. At first I thought it was hard, but again, Crystal Chaos found a really good strat for this level. So as the level loads, you hold left and B, and then your eyes are actually on the far right side of the screen. Because what you want to do, if you just hold left and B, you'll hit that far right enemy. And as soon as you hit that far right enemy, you still want to hold B, but you want to switch left to right, so that you hit the far left enemy, and then you kind of go up that diagonal of the left enemies. You'll have to tap B a little bit just to make sure you get the positioning right. But once you hit the upper left guy, you have a choice basically between trying to go under the flipper, in which case you can hit actually all the enemies before they're pumped up, but it's difficult, or you can go above the flipper and just kind of finish them up afterwards. But with enough practice, you should be able to get under the flipper. It can be pretty daunting at first, though.
Oh yeah, it's tough to get under that flipper, man.
Oh yeah, it's just really a matter of releasing B at the right time.
Yeah, just not flying too high when you hit the guy in the center top left.
I think the key is kind of when you do the switch from left to right. Because if you're still holding left after you hit the wall, you're gonna take a chunk off of your speed, and then you're gonna need to hold B more, and then that's gonna send you too high up to get under the flipper.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Ugh, almost.
I think it's worth just trying to get under the flipper every time, though, and if it sends you somewhere else, then deal with it. Let's see what holding right does. It's not very helpful in this one.
That was close. Close enough.
Somehow I missed the second enemy.
Here's a question. Oh wow, is it just mine that's not flashing the phase number?
Oh no, it does flash.
Oh. I'm just not seeing. Oh, it does flash the phase number. It's just only at the very beginning that it shows the phase number. Oh, yeah, okay, I see. I just waited around too long. Oh wow, this is the second last level.
Remember when I thought this would be a short and easy tutorial?
Right. Not easy. This game, I mean, if you're just going to play this without any strats, you'll probably do fine. You'll probably get through the 12 levels, no problem.
Yeah.
But I definitely see how knowing, like, having a plan for each of these levels is going to make a huge time difference. I mean, a fraction of the time it's going to take somebody who has to actually fly around, pop the balloons, pop the parachutes. That's just, you know, compared to these levels can all be done in like 5 seconds if you know what you're supposed to do.
The only nasty thing, unfortunately, I curse these bonus levels because, I mean, they take about 45 seconds each, and figuring it's about a 5-minute run, it's like 2/5 of the full goal time.
Right.
But this is too bad because it's such a fun game.
If only they were all continuous, and then it would be like a Well, I guess it's a second game. You don't really have to worry about a bathroom break, but
sounds like an SGL hack to me.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna link in chat a map of all stages. We haven't finished up yet. I mean, there's only one kind of repeat level left, but just because Mike the viewer did mention it, here's a map that you can download. And usually, I mean, I honestly have this by my side when I play, just so I can remember what's coming up. Because like we were talking about before, if you're not holding what you need to be holding when a level loads, then you can lose a lot of time.
Oh yeah, like it's kind of crazy how precious the first few moments of each level are.
Okay.
You ready for phase 12, Fiesel?
Yeah, so this level, I mean, I think the pump up time is probably a little different, but it's otherwise the level design is completely identical to phase 6. So again, what we did there is you hit the far left guy, then you wrap around to hit the far right guy, and then the top two guys. Then you just have to track down the middle guy. So we can do it a couple times, but I don't know how much time we need to spend on it. Oops, I need to get back there.
Yep, I'm still bad at this one.
checking on the right level. Oops. I do think you have a little less time on this one than phase 6, so it's a little more difficult, but it should still be doable. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we need to spend too much time on that. We already discussed it a little bit. So I guess now we can either go through each level and do a quick refresher, or we can show that video. I'm not sure what Bad Breaks and Toad have as far as best time goes. My best time is a 4:19, which isn't out of this world, but after like 50 or so attempts, that's what I was able to come up with.
I think I may have just found a sort of safe strat that is decent. If you just hold B and left, you'll always get 3 guys.
Oh, okay.
You hold B and left on this last one?
Mm-hmm.
Do you need to, it seems like you should release left for just a moment, or do you not?
No. You could make it better, I'm sure, but if you just want the 3.
For me, it only
This is 1.
it finishes 2 for me.
Really?
I guess it's a little luck dependent.
The whole gamut. Yeah, I don't know what would change. It's funny.
I don't know why the second one wouldn't die. He's still pumping when I get him. The third guy actually takes off a little bit, so if he did something different, then...
Huh.
It's a pretty good strat, though. I mean, I need to wiggle just a little bit, but it's pretty good.
It's definitely easier than the other one. And if you screw up the other one, you can get yourself into a bad situation.
Yeah, it works for me if I wiggle just a little bit right before the second guy.
Yeah, I think I prefer it. Yeah, but same Fiesel.
Can you make a recording of that level so that when I play these at the end we'll be able to have that? Or is that going to take too long?
No.
I mean, as long as the beginning part of it is right. I mean, once the guys start ballooning off and parachuting and all that,
Yeah.
it'll be sort of ad hoc, but or play action version. But it's that's a good start. I like that strat.
Let's see. I'll drop it in the Skype chat.
Thanks.
I assume you meant an emulator movie and not an
Yeah.
API. Oh wait, no, FCS is... Yeah, wrong folder. Okay, there, whoop.
Alright.
I'll even give it a nice name.
I'll go through all these levels again once. That was it, right? That was level 12? That was phase 12?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go through these again one more time, and I'll play the videos that Blechy made, which just should show us, I think, the same strats that he was teaching us.
Yeah, they will, except for the bad break strat and the one we just talked about.
Right, yeah, those two,
is
we'll show the new versions for those.
Well, just to be clear, mine, the last one for phase 12 is not, it's worse. It's worse than the other one if you do it right. So.
Okay, we'll show both for that.
Yeah.
Safe strat.
Let me make a one for 8. The bad breaks one.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just drop that in once you get it. Hold on, I'm just trying to find a place to put this here.
Just hold right.
He likes the just hold right strats. Me too. Nice. Wow, that 15K is taking a long time. Alright, we got it. Okay, so let's go through these, and I will show... Where's the emulator window? There it is. I'll show each of these movies, and we'll kind of just go through them and re-explain everything to summarize.
Sounds good. Might want to just turn on input display as well, I guess.
Alright. Okay, so this is level 1.
Yep, so for this one, it was as simple as just holding B and left as the stage loads, and then after you have to just kind of get a feel for it, but shortly after, like almost immediately after the stage loads and you're flying to the left a little bit, you still hold B, but you change from left to right. So you basically just turn in the air and use that extra momentum to just plow through all three guys. You do have to release B at some point to make sure you don't fly over them.
Yeah, it looks like right when your body is even with the platform, you're releasing B. Like the middle of your body, even with the platform, seems to be what's happening on the input display. That's when you let go of B. Okay.
Yep.
And then in full speed, let's look at that one more time. Pop, pop. Nice. Easy enough. Let's look level 2.
Okay, so level 2, that central architecture is the same as level 1. Fiesel did, so you can start out with exactly what you did in phase 1. Fiesel did find it a little easier to, what was it, the bottom?
Yeah, the bottom of this cloud. So here, I'll show your strat first, and then I'll just use my controller and do it the other way. Here, let's slow it down a little bit.
So yeah, you finish those first 3 guys in the middle, just like you did on phase 1. It's the exact same level architecture. And then basically you just fly up, and depending on which enemy just like kind of putters off the ground a little bit, you want to go for that enemy first. You want to react. So you watch the 2 enemies up top, and whichever does a little short hop is the one you actually go for. In this movie file here, it's the left enemy, so we go for that one first, and then we finish off the right one, and then finish off the initial guy.
Yep, see, there he goes. He lands back on the ground again, so that tells you he's the one you want to get first. Yeah, on my cartridge, on my game, I was getting the one on the right, but I don't know if it's just a matter of what you do in level 1 or if it's a cartridge thing. Okay, but there's that. And then let me just go and do this without the movie, and I'll just show you the other version of it. Movie stop. Back to 100% speed. So I'm just holding B, and as soon as... Oh, wow. Yeah, okay, that's it. So
I think you did land.
Yeah, I got it. I just didn't. I wasn't letting go of the B button. You do want to let go of B at some point. All right, so you start this stage holding B, and you'll begin to float up. And you'll go up some more, and as soon as your balloons right here touch this cloud, then you start holding right, and continue holding B, and you'll start to go this way. You bounce off this guy, off the ceiling a little bit, hit the first two guys, and then I let go of the B button at some point in here, just to make sure that I don't miss this guy and fly over his head. Then at this point, you can start holding B again and, you know, fly up and take care of these other two guys. I did them in the wrong order, but it's, you know, going to be one then the other. So yeah, you don't need to hold left at the outset of it. You can just wait until, just hold B until your balloons touch this cloud, then hold right.
And Fiesel was talking about this, but the only reason this doesn't work in phase 1, even though it's the same kind of, that central platform is the same, is you don't have that upper left platform to bang your head on to kind of reverse your vertical momentum.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. Let's go and load your next one.
So this is phase 3. You have a couple options here, but what you're going to be seeing is the easier one, and for the most part, and certainly the more consistent, and just a little bit slower if you do get everything right. So the idea here for this one is you want to just hold B for a little bit, and then you kind of see that diagonal of enemies through the middle from the lower left to the upper right. You want to just swoop through and finish all 3 of those enemies, and then wrap around and hit the guy in the upper left.
Yep. So you start out just holding B, just like the previous level. You start out only holding B, don't hit anything yet, and now wait until the top of your balloon is even with the top of this platform. So right now, the top of the balloon is even with this green platform, and then you start holding right, and you'll just go... start to move diagonally. You'll have to let go of the B button at some point, otherwise you'll go over this guy's head. But then you repress it once you touch that second guy. And then continue, wrap around, and that guy should be about at the top of the screen, so you'll hit him every time. So you have to let off B for just a moment to hit the second guy. And then the third and fourth guys should be no problem. And then it's only the last guy who you have to worry about.
Yeah.
There we go. And one more time in slow-mo. Start holding right now. Let off B for just a moment, then back on it. And then... boom, that guy just as he hits the top of the screen. Alright. Cool. Pretty simple level. This one's not hard to get right.
The only thing that might throw a kink into the works is how the bottom guy reacts after you finish off the others, but otherwise it's easy.
Yeah, you're on your own for the last guy. You're going to have to just see what he does. But given that you're coming from the top and he's at the bottom, most likely you're going to be in a good position to just get the drop on him. Alright, next comes a bonus stage. For the bonus stage, remember you want to get as few balloons as possible, but you do want to make sure you collect the balloons at the very end, because that'll cause the bonus level to end a little bit sooner, because you don't have to wait for them to float all the way off. But just do nothing, or walk around, or run around, or something. Don't collect any balloons for the first 17. After you've seen 17 balloons come out, then collect the last 3. It's 20 balloons total. That's the strat for the bonus. We don't have a video for it, but it's pretty easy. And it's going to be the same for the other 2 bonuses that you have to do in this.
Yes.
Level 4, phase 4, I should say.
So yep, this is the one where you just hold B and left as the stage begins. By doing so, you will hit the first 2 enemies, but you want to release B as your kind of nose aligns with the left side of the cloud, so that you start to arc back down, and then as you approach the far left guy, you'd want to just do a couple flaps holding to the right, so that you turn around and then you just finish off the last 3 guys after that. If you do it correctly, you can hit 4 guys before they're in the air. Oftentimes you only hit 3, but you want to hit 4. You want to aim for 4.
Okay. So yeah, here we go. We come in holding left and B at the outset. Nothing to it so far. You'll automatically hit this guy every time. And right... Oh, I just went past it. Let me back up. Past it. Now, see this cloud? When the front of my guy... When the left side of my guy is even with the left side of the cloud, this is about when we want to hit... Or when we want to let go of B. Maybe a little bit later. It looks like you're letting go a little bit later in your video. You're going maybe... maybe halfway... Like your character's is maybe halfway out of the cloud. So somewhere around there you're letting go of B. And that makes it so that you cross this top platform really low. You don't want to be too high crossing this top platform. In fact, you do look like you're pretty high up here, so maybe you could let go right as you're coming out of the cloud. You probably could have done it a little earlier. So
yeah,
maybe about right
so.
here.
That was actually a cue that Toad suggested, and it's a really good idea. So.
Yeah, when your face comes out of this cloud right here, then you let go of B. Still holding left, of course. And now you start, when do you start holding right? Are you holding right the moment you hit the second guy? It looks like you're holding right.
I just kind of feel it out for the most part. But it's mostly just like as I approach the last guy. I might be holding right, but I mean, whether you're holding right or not
it doesn't
in the air
matter.
it makes no difference.
Yeah, notice there's no B button input right now, so the D-pad is basically doing nothing but changing where your character is facing. As soon as you start to press one of the A or B buttons, then you'll start to move that way, but at this point in time, you're just kind of preemptively turning right. It doesn't matter when you start to turn right. Anytime after you let go of the B button, you can change over to facing right. You let your momentum carry you over, and then as you're starting to get below this cloud here, is when you're going to want to maybe start tapping B or tapping A or whatever you want to do, just to get a few flaps in. But only a few, because you don't want to gain any height. You just want it to be enough that you slow down your momentum, and then you drop till you hit that guy and start. Now you start flapping to the right a bit and finish these last two off. So there we go. Cool. Next level.
So this is 5. So for this one, you're holding B as the level begins, and after just a couple flaps, you start holding right, so that you hit the lower left guy and bump your head into the middle column, the bottom of the middle column. Then you release B briefly to hit the lower right guy. Then it's hard to explain, but the order goes lower left, lower right, right middle, and then you just kind of finish up with the upper left guys. I would suggest doing the top middle first, but you can see from the video there that you basically, hit the lower left guy, the lower right guy, the upper right guy, and then you loop around to the top middle guy, and then just finish the last two after that.
Right. Okay.
I didn't notice that you bounce off the ceiling when you kill that fourth guy. I don't think I was doing that.
Okay, so yeah, a few flaps, one flap, two flaps, and now we turn around. So you're holding B. So it's one flap, two flaps, and now turn. And if you want a visual cue, it's like less than the height of your guy, not including his balloons. So it's, I don't know, it's like it's less than one tile tall, or less than one tile off the ground before you start changing direction. So you barely lifting off at all. And then you start holding right. You're wait, you let go of B at some point here. You shouldn't need to let go of B there. Not until you bump your head here, and now as you bump your head on that little ledge, now you let go of B for just a moment, and then repress it, but that gives you enough of a swoop that you can come down and get that guy. Now that guy you can hit from the side. This guy here, you don't have to be at the top, you can just hit him from the side. And that gives you a little momentum boost to the left, which is just enough to take you up to hit that guy there. And for these last guys, hitting the balloon and bouncing off the ceiling, or whatever, hitting the balloons and hitting the parachutes. Easy enough.
Yep.
But yeah, the trick is just go a little bit off the ground before you start hitting right, and then boom, just as you're hitting your head there, you let go of the B for just a moment so you can get down low enough to get that guy. Okay. That was phase 5. Alright, this is phase 6, which also happens to be the same as 12.
So for phase 6, this one is among the harder ones to describe. You want to, the order is going to be far left, wrap around to far right, and then the top 2 guys. So the way you do that is you hit the far left guy from the side. You have to kind of approach him from his left. Then you wrap around, and this is the hardest part. You kind of want to, keep flapping with and continue to gain upward momentum so that you can kind of hit the far right guy and the upper right guy in a smooth diagonal, like a smooth little curve. And if you do it right, it should set you up to finish the upper left guy as well. It is one of the harder moves to pull off, but you can definitely get 4 guys before any are in the air, and then it's just a matter of finishing the 5th.
It seems my left B strat also works for this level.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Oh, that's right. And that's what we're going to discuss. I'm sorry. So we just discussed the one that I came up with, and then Mythical's strat, which is definitely consistent, and just a little bit slower. If you do the other strat correctly, is Mythical. Could you describe it? I forget exactly.
Yeah. Well, you hold B and left. You'll bonk into this wall, then take out that guy, bonk into that, hit off the ceiling.
That's right.
And yeah, basically the idea is you'll arc across from the bottom right to the top left and take out the 3 guys. After that, you're above the other 2, generally, and you gotta track them down.
Now, a weird thing is, Feasel and I had to make a slight adjustment. We weren't able to hold B and left the entire time. Basically, right after you hit the first guy on the far right, you release left is what I found worked. You release left for just a moment so that you don't bump into the upper right platform. So, using Mythical strat, you hold B and left until you hit the first guy, and then you just kind of wiggle a little bit, and then you continue holding B and left, and you'll hit all 3 guys. But I don't know why it works sometimes and sometimes not, but yeah.
Let me try it again on this.
Yeah, try it out
ROM.
and see how it works for you.
Well, yeah, I was doing it on a different ROM before. Now I'm doing it on emulator, so let's see if it makes a difference. So it's B and left. And I do
Pretty
get
much
that guy.
until after
Yep.
the second guy dies, yeah.
Yeah, it works. I guess maybe it's just because of where I was setting my save state on the other version. But yeah, that definitely works. All I'm doing is I'm holding B and left. Boom. And see, that little swoop down from the ceiling is just enough. This little swoop down right here is just enough to get that guy. And then at this point at the end, you can't just do B and left. You have to actually do some stuff.
Yeah.
Doing
for these
stuff.
last 2. Yeah, doing stuff is much harder than just holding 2 buttons. Alright, but there's that. If you can't get that to work, then you do the beginning part of it, bump this guy, and then right here you do a bit of a wiggle and then come back, maybe.
It does seem on level 12 with the shorter pump up time that the other 2 guys will have more time to get away from you and do bad things. They'll end up, way up at the ceiling, and so I guess Blechy's strat is kind of worth more, I think, on this level than it is on level 6.
Mike the viewer, are you setting a save state within the level or before the level starts? Because it may be that you lost a frame at the beginning of the level, which is what I think the problem I was having earlier was. Because the power pack can't set save states between levels, you have to actually get into the level and try to save immediately. Maybe, I don't know, just a guess. The end of the last level. Okay, then I don't know why you're not hitting that. Well, you can always do the Blechy strat. Let's just show Blechy's strat again. Here it is. This is tricky, but it works. So you hit this guy. Wait, here, let me start this again, because the important part is Slow it down a bit. The important part is this guy right here. You have to be as low as possible when you hit this guy. It's just the tip of your balloon that hits him before you bounce off. And then you got to do a bit of a wiggle so that you don't bump this platform that this guy is sitting on here. And then there you go. You can just barely reach this fourth guy in time.
I find it helps to aim for the corners of their hitboxes rather than the centers. And then what? It's a bonus stage again?
Yep. And then we're on to phase 7.
Alright, let's do phase 7.
So phase 7 is a fun one because the enemies are all lined up in this diagonal for you to take them all out. So really all you want to do, you want to run left for just a moment, and then after you're running for a moment, you start flapping, still holding left. So you run left for a moment, then you hold B and left for a moment, and then you just hold right and B. And you might need to tap B a little bit, but you should be able to take out, at the very least, these first 5 guys without a problem. Sometimes if you do it particularly cleanly, you can finish off the 6th guy in the upper left wall as well by wrapping around. But in a very worst case scenario, you'll just barely, hit him after he has inflated his balloon, and then you just need to follow up with a very quick second hit after that.
Well, I wouldn't call that the very worst scenario.
Yeah. True enough.
Okay. And now it was also suggested that instead of going to the left and then to the right, that you actually go in between these platforms right here. You start floating up, go in between, and then when you... Here, let me get it back to the beginning of the level. You start by floating up. You need to move to the right just a little bit, but then you float up, and when you're even with this guy right here, then you start to hold to the right, and you can go up across all these 3. So I'm actually going to try this out, because I want to see how well
I
this
didn't
works.
have much luck. I gave it a lot of time, and only a couple times did I get it right.
Yeah, I didn't have much luck with it either. Oops.
And I mean, if you do get it right, and you do get a decent angle coming out from between them, then you have more than enough time to get all 6 enemies. But it's just so hard to come out of it with that angle.
Just trying to see if I can get it now.
Bad Breaks as well as Toad, if you're still around. Have you guys been able to finish any single segment runs, or are you mostly just kind of doing level practice? I mean, I guess you probably have done full runs of the full 20 games, but I don't know how much you've put into Balloon Fight specifically.
Yeah, this is not a strat that I can do. I'm not sure. Yeah, you could try this out, but I like this idea of walking left first and then starting to fly. And that makes it a little bit tighter window hitting that last guy, but you're guaranteed to not screw it up. Okay. Shall we move on to the next level?
Yep.
So that was phase 7, was it?
Yep.
Alright, phase 8.
So with Phase 8, much like Phase 5, you start out by just holding B as the level loads with no direction input, and you really just kind of let your character get a couple flaps in before you start holding right. And so what's going to happen is, if you time it like that, then you'll bounce into the left middle platform, and you'll hit both of the bottom enemies. And then after that, it's just a matter of kind of like angling your character so that you hit both of the enemies on the left as you ascend, and then just finishing the last two on the right side afterwards.
Yeah, you'll have to finish those last two in the air.
Oh no, wait, this is the bad breaks one.
Yeah, this is the one where we've got another strat though, but this is the Blechy strat. But let's go and look at the other strat for this.
Sure. Yeah, and this is the bad break strat is definitely a lot better than what I had developed.
Okay.
Basically, it's as simple as you hold B as the level begins, and then just a moment before your balloon, the top of your balloons touch the bottom of the left cloud, you start holding right. And if it's a pretty decent window, and if you time it correctly, then if you're just holding B and right, then your character will just, he'll take out 4 of the enemies before they start flying, and then you continue holding B and right, and he just finishes up the last 2. You might need to adapt with the last 2 depending on if you get bad luck, but I don't know.
Alright, yeah, so let's see this here again. So basically we're holding B at the beginning of the level, and once you get to about right here, so not quite touching the cloud, a little bit before the cloud, you start holding right. You continue holding B, but you start holding right, and now you just don't let go of right and B. And in fact, even for these last couple guys, you don't need to. Even the guys who are ballooning away, if you still continue to hold right and B, you'll get them every time. Blechy didn't have faith. You see him, he let go of B there. But you didn't need to do that. You can just continue holding right and B through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, the key is just you hold B until you're like right here, just a little bit below that cloud. I think it works even if you're a little bit higher than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure.
And then these next 4 guys you'll get automatically, and then these last 2 guys, you'll just be flying along the top, taking them out. It seems to work every time. Alright, that's the alternative version of level 8.
Yeah, and that's the one honestly I would suggest more so than the first one.
Yeah, I like that too, because it's fast and it's pretty hard to mess up.
Yeah.
Alright, let's go to level phase 9.
Yep, so we saw a level similar to this previously, but the level, because the pump up time is different on this level, and because the flippers are there, you need to change it up a little bit. So all you do for this one is you hold left in the beginning without B, and you have to time holding B with the 6th footstep. So that basically, as soon as that 6th footstep would happen, you start holding B, you fly right through the lower left 3 guys, and then basically you wrap around and finish the last 2.
Or turn around.
Or turn around if you want. I find that wrapping around works better, but they should be very similar to one another.
Okay, so it's just a matter of counting the steps at the beginning. 1. Oh, I went too far. So it's 6 steps, and you can listen to the sound effects, or you can watch your guy, I guess. But the sound effects probably easier. 1. Oh, I'm not sure if the sound effects actually correspond to the sprite, so I'm not sure we're gonna be able to actually see that. I have the sound down really low most of the time, so I actually was using a visual cue for this. And you can just look at these little like indentations in the ground. See right here, there's sort of a, put my mouse back on, sort of a V-shaped indentation right there. It looks a little different on emulator than on my screen, but there's like dark blotches, and when you're over this blotch right here is when you start holding B. And I guess you have to let off the B button just a little bit to make sure you hit those lower 3 guys. Let's look at it again. Yeah, you have to let off beat just a little bit as you're hitting the second one. And then, yeah, kind of play it by ear for these last ones. Alright. Let's look at phase 10.
Yep. So this is a tricky one. The strat that I'm suggesting is to basically, yeah, I don't know what Bad Breaks was posing, but you take out the lower left guy and then the bottom right guy, and then all you're left with is the 3 flipper guys up top. You try and I don't think you'll see it in the movie.
Yeah, this is the wrong movie then for it, but
oh yeah. Yeah, so the movie's going to be a bit different. But you take out the bottom 2 guys, and then the right middle guy, and then you just finish up the last 2 on top. The video displays a bit of more of a risky strat.
well, let's show the risky strat, and then I'll see if I can play the less risky strat myself.
Oh shit. Okay.
Alright,
Actually, I don't know why I didn't make it through, but I'll send you the less risky strat as well if you want.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. Well, here, let's watch. Let's watch
Sure.
your risky strat in slow mo here. So you're taking a few steps off the ground first, few flaps off the ground before you hold
Yeah.
right, and then you net.
So
You get that guy.
yep. So you flap a little bit off the ground before you hold right. You hit the left guy, the lower left guy, and then you kind of go clockwise around to the others. And yeah, it's really just as simple as that. The thing to know is that if you hit the left side of the flipper, it will send you up, whereas if you hit the right side of the flipper, it will oftentimes send you to the right or down. So when you hit that upper left flipper, you really want to try and hit it on the left side.
Okay.
This one is a lot faster than the other one, but the flippers can really make things very tricky. So if you get it wrong, it can take a lot of time to recover from it.
All right. Let's look at the other version of it. So we hit the lower left, then the lower
Yep,
right.
and then you work your way counterclockwise instead of clockwise. And I would suggest that you try and fly through the upper right flippers. Otherwise, the flipper can potentially send you off into a direction you don't want to go.
So you're saying don't touch the spinner?
Yeah, try not to touch it. I know the movie does, but if you can avoid them, then you should be able to make it through even more consistently.
Yeah, the tricky part is when you hit this first spinner. Let me get up to that point. So right here, it's something about the way you hit this spinner affects which direction you're going to go in. And most of the time when I'm trying this, I get flung to the right or to the upright or something. But you actually get flung kind of up left.
Mm-hmm.
And that's towards the next enemy, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think that it's very much dependent on just kind of where you hit the flipper. And I was having a lot more luck, as I mentioned, hitting it on the left side. But these flippers are so inconsistent that you might just find it better to just fly in between the flippers instead of trying to use the flipper to your advantage.
Okay. All right. Should we talk about level 11 then?
Yep.
Phase 11.
So what's this one? One moment, please.
Oh, you're going the left way this time. Or is that how you did it?
Yeah, this is another obsoleted video. I think it's just a different, so I'll upload the other one so you have it.
I think going left is something that got suggested in the chat when we were talking about this earlier. It looks a little hard because you have to do a bit of a wiggle to make it work.
Yeah, and I don't think that you can nearly as easily hit all 6 with this strat. I think it's a lot easier to just bounce off the far right platform as we did in our, initial practice.
All right, I'll show you that file in just a second. Okay, so here's the other version. And he goes under the spinner. That went by pretty fast. Let's watch it one more time. Bounces off that, 3 guys on the way up, under the spinner, last 2 guys on the way down. Okay. Let's look at it a little slower. So you just start out holding left and B, correct?
Yep.
And then
your eyes are on the right side of the screen. And as soon as you hit that far right platform, you're still holding B, but you switch from left to right.
So you change directions just as you hit this guy, and that gives you a little boost to the right, which will be just enough to make you clip this guy right here, just barely. And then you have to let off B for just a little bit right here, just so you won't go over this guy's head. Actually, it looks like you're not even holding B at all during this part. And you glide right underneath that and hit these last 2. So let's see, it's right there that you're letting go of B, and you never repress it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty tight, so you might need to, adapt.
Let's see exactly where you let go of B. So you start out holding left and B, and right, boom, right now as you hit this guy is when you switch to holding right and B. And he's continuing to hold right and B. Where does he let go of B? It's this guy right there. Let's go of B right here when he's directly above that platform with the guy that he just hit. And it looks like he just continues to not hold B, and that gives him just enough space to get underneath that spinner and land on that guy.
As Mythical said when we were playing this level earlier, it's not only the only variable isn't only when you release B, it's also kind of when you switch from holding left to holding right after the very first enemy. So there are a couple different variables to get this right. So I do think ultimately you may just have to adapt, because timing that switch from left to right is very precise.
Yeah, that's right. If you're a little too early or a little too late, you're not going to have that same boost to the right. You're not going to have the same rightward speed. So watch out. Okay. That was 11, and then phase 12 is just a repeat of phase 6.
Yeah.
But I will play it back anyway. Oh wait, we have a new. Do we have a new strat for this?
Mythicals.
Oh yeah, you can use. This is the hold left strat, left and B strat. It's this level. So yeah, you hold left and B, and you'll get the first 3 guys. But we're gonna show Blechy's strat, which is to go left, fly left for a little bit, come back, bonk this guy with the edge of your balloon, and then bounce off that. And then you do a little wiggle here and hit those 2 guys and come down on that last guy to get 4 before he pumps up. And then the safe version of this strat, of this level rather, is left and B, and you don't even need to let go of left and B at any point here. Boom, up to right now. Now you can just sort of do what you need to beat this.
Yeah, I think the rest of that level's pretty sloppy, but...
Yeah, but you get the picture. Alright.
The trouble on level 12 is that 4th guy, see he's all the way up at the top of the screen? He seemed to give me that pretty reliably.
Which is bad, because then it's hard to knock him down when he's at the top of the screen. Alright, and then the timing for this ends when the bonus stage comes into view.
And then you quick switch over to tennis.
Then you quickly switch over to tennis. So there you have it. That's all the balloon fight levels. It's just these 12 phases to get through, with a couple bonus phases thrown in the middle.
If I was like, really doing, because I'm not sure if I'm gonna actually enter the race or if I'm doing commentary, but what I would do is I would practice what happens when you screw it up, because I don't think I would get all 12, and things can get pretty hairy on some of them if you screw them up. So I would practice for the backup strats.
Most definitely.
Okay. Well, let's see. What else do we want to say about this? It doesn't even seem like there's much to do in the way of backup strats, because once you've kind of messed up what you're trying to do in the level, it's just going to be a matter of, stay towards the top of the screen so that you can land on these other guys' balloons without getting stomped,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going through my notes. I think we
Pretty much
covered
got
the
it.
bulk of it.
So stop watching this and go get to balloon fighting.
Nice. Okay. Well, let's see. Is that's about it? We should call it an end here.
Yep.
Yeah, just a quick thank you to Crystal Chaos, who really helped with figuring out how the bonus stages worked and supplied a couple level strats. So yeah, want to throw that out there.
Okay.